I don't want West Ham to sack David Moyes as manager of West Ham United, and at no point this season have I hoped that he would get sacked either. And it's taken me by surprise as well, actually, the fact that I have very little desire to see David Moyes be replaced at this point at West Ham. But this is my honest opinion. Now, before you start giving me a little bit of grief in the comments, if you're going to get involved in it, your own opinion, you're disregarding what I say, please do get involved. That's what it's there for. It's a bit of a forum about this topic. But if you're going to comment about my opinion, please just watch the whole video, please, because I will explain. One of the most frustrating things about doing YouTube is those that make assumptions. So I could say, I'm not going to be having pizza for tea tonight, and someone in the comments will say, I can't believe you're having Chinese. I've never said I was having Chinese. No one's mentioned Chinese. You're the only one making Chinese. So people that make assumptions frustrate me a lot. So today, if anyone's making assumptions about my opinion on David Moyes and have not watched the video, I'm going to start making assumptions about you in the comments. You've been warned. I'm going to have a bit of fun. In fact, I could have a lot of fun with that. I will be making assumptions. You make assumptions, I'm going to meet you eye for an eye. I'm going to make assumptions about you. Anyway, for a little bit of context, for those who are new to the channel, I say new to the channel, Moyes has been here 4 years now. So anyone that's joined maybe 2 years in, anyone that's subscribed for the last 2 years only, where have you been? Anyway, a little bit of context. So when Pellegrini left, Moyes came back in. I didn't want him. Didn't want him back. Didn't enjoy him the first time round after Slaven Bilic. He kept us up after Slav. But I thought most managers could have done it. I thought that we had a decent squad of players. Better than those that got relegated. So I was pleased when we didn't retain David Moyes. The second time round, I still wasn't keen on retaining him. However, he deserved a deal. 2 years now he kept us up. He deserved to stay and have a crack at the West Ham managerial job. But I was a bit suspicious because we had that tournament, didn't we, post-COVID. And I thought that's not normal sort of scenario for football. It was a tournament. It was a tournament, and we came out on top. Now, in that tournament, we played really good. I thought the football was good. Now, David Moyes' first full season, we finished 6th in the league. Unbelievable achievement. I could never have imagined us finishing 6th and qualifying for the Europa League. Fantastic. The second half of the season, I thought the football was brilliant with Jesse Lingard in the team. I thought we were fantastic. I was really enjoying what I'd seen. But I was still a little bit wary because there was no fans in the grounds. And the reason for that is the first half of that season, we did really well. The results were really good. But I thought at times the football was a little bit tough to watch. Very similar to what we're seeing this season, where when the results go in your favour, you put up with it. And this is how I've always summarised David Moyes, and I probably always will summarise David Moyes at West Ham, that he needs to get the results. Because when the results ain't there, the football, it's not my cup of tea. It's not my brand of football. But when he's winning games, when he's picking up the points, I can stomach it. I can put up with it because it's working. But as soon as it stops working, very quickly I have an issue with it because it's not particularly enjoyable. Either get results or play good football. And if you can do both, fantastic. But not many managers can do both. And I think in that season in particular, Moyes was getting results. But the second half, I thought the football was wonderful. Then the next season, Europa League semi-final, finished 7th. I enjoyed the first half of the season, funnily enough. So that calendar year, I enjoyed it. Second half of the season, the results in the Premier League dipped. The football wasn't great. But again, you could put up with it because we had that European run. We got to the semi-finals. Still don't think we got a fair crack at it. We conceded a goal really early on. Then Adam Creswell's red card. Never really got a crack. In that January transfer window, we didn't do anything. It was very underwhelming that we were in a really good position in the league. And to finish 7th, it ended up, while it's a good achievement, ended up being quite disappointing. Bear in mind, we were in the top 6 for pretty much the whole season. It wasn't until the end we dropped out, qualified for Conference League. Then last season, football was poor. Results in Premier League were poor, but we won the Conference League. So that's my summary on David Moyes so far. But also, the bit I missed out that was key. Last season, going into the World Cup, I wanted him sacked. It was after the Leicester game. We played Leicester and Crystal Palace. One was the last game before the World Cup, and the one was the week before that, and it was the first one of the two. I remember thinking, he's got to go. He's got to go in the World Cup, but we'll wait and see. Maybe I'm just being a bit emotional because we got beat. Then we got beat again. The game before the World Cup, was it Crystal Palace? I think it was Crystal Palace that beat us before the World Cup. Was it at least they had a shot deflected off Creswell? Anyway, that game I thought he's got to go. World Cup, perfect time to get someone else in because there's a large part of the season to go. We've got a decent squad and we can go on and win the Conference League. Come, I don't know, February onwards, I thought we were playing better. I thought Moyes was going back to sort of what he did best, which was keep it tight, be good at set pieces. He called on his old guard a little bit. And at that point, come March time, I thought, don't sack him. There's no point now. Because I didn't think we'd ever go. At no point last season did I think we'd get relegated, bar a handful of days after we got smashed by Newcastle. When Newcastle smashed us, that's the only time I thought we could go down here. But very quickly I got out of it. I thought, no, we'll be all right. We'll be okay. And I always felt we'd win the Conference League with Moyes. Last season, I always felt we'd win the Conference League because we were the better team. We were the best team in the competition. So I was always confident we'd stay up, and I was always confident we'd win the Conference League. I just wanted them sat going into World Cup because it was a large part of the season to go, and I didn't enjoy the first third of it. So I thought, well, this is what we're going to have for the rest of it. I don't want to see it. It's not good. It's not enjoyable. But come the end of the season, I thought, well, there's no point sacking him now. And also, when you've seen the alternatives like Rafa Benitez, I have never got to the point where it's anyone but Moyes. Some people have, and I get it. By the way, if you want Moyes gone, you don't need to convince me. I get it. I completely understand why you want Moyes gone. But I've never ever got to the point where it's anyone but David Moyes. It's never been that bad for me. Which, you know, it's been terrible at times, like last season. It wasn't for the Conference League. Maybe it would have got to that point. But I've never been there. Anyway, come this summer, I'll try my best to push the reset button. I would have liked to have gone after the Conference League final. I thought now's the time. Just wipe the slate clean. Obviously, Declan Rice is leaving as well, so get rid of the manager. The captain's going, 100 million to spend. Director of football coming in, or technical director as he is in Tim Steidten. Now's a really good chance to just start afresh at West Ham. Let me quickly interrupt my own video because I forgot to promote Patreon. I just started talking about David Moyes and off I went. I got into the flow. I didn't want to stop it. Anyway, there's a few reasons you should join Patreon. You will get additional content such as our player ratings, the Anton Ferdinand podcast, so you can hear Anton say things like this. How much does that bother you as a defender?
It used to piss me off.
There's also Hammerlytics, Breakfast Show, the Muckateer, myself and Gonzo. We do a series over there now where we don't even talk about football anymore. Blame the patrons, not us. You also get online store discounts so you can buy merchandise like this or like them, but also you get entry into our giveaways. And if you join Patreon this month, or you're already a patron, essentially anyone who is part of Patreon in November goes into a prize draw next month. And the big prize is this shirt here. Now you might be thinking, hang on a minute, that's a DT38 shirt. Exactly. This is a match-worn shirt from pre-season. So when West Ham went over to Australia, Betway allowed them to put DT38 on the front of their shirts for obvious reasons. So who wore this shirt? Well, it's this man, Mr. Emerson. Emerson wore this shirt over in Australia, and we're giving this away to one of our patrons next month. To join, head to patreon.com/hammerchat. Links in the description below. And if you want another reason to join Patreon, it allows us to keep creating content just like this. Anyway, back to my talk about David Moyes. Albeit, he stayed. So I always knew he was going to stay. I never ever had any hope that Sullivan would sack him. What I want and what I predict are two completely different things, and that's sometimes what the comments assume wrong, because I remember doing one last season saying Sullivan got it right keeping Moyes, and people said, I can't believe you want Moyes to get a new deal. I never said that. I just said Sullivan got it right because had we employed a new manager, what would his job have been? To keep us in the Premier League and to win the Conference League. That's what Moyes did. So I would argue Sullivan did the right decision by sticking by David Moyes for the entirety of last season. Doesn't mean I was happy with what I've seen in Premier League. I just think that Sullivan got it right. Anyway, so going into this season, I thought, right, Gio, come on, push the reset button. Let's try and start afresh with David Moyes. He's entering the last year of his contract. I don't like it. I don't like any manager, not just West Ham managers, not just David Moyes. I don't like it when a manager enters the last 12 months of his contract. For probably the biggest sort of example, or the harshest example, see Eddie Howe at Bournemouth. Last year of his contract, it felt like the players down tools a little bit because they knew he wasn't staying beyond the summer. But that's just my opinion. But I did my best to push the reset button and start the season. I was happy with what I seen. I thought the football was better, much better than last season. Not hard, it's a low barometer. Not as good as when we finished 6th, that 2021 bit. The football's not as good as that, but I felt we've gone back to what David Moyes knows best: counter-attacking football, being good at set pieces. We've gone back to Moyes ball, if you like, but I was enjoying it. We had a strong start to the season, good wins over Brighton, good wins over Chelsea. I was enjoying it. And then we've come round to the other bit, which is the not so good bit, where the football's still a little bit. The football is poor, and the results are poor. The results have followed the football in that regard. We've dropped down the table a little bit. Now, 2 big wins: Olympiacos, Nottingham Forest, great, good wins, and Olympiacos was a tough watch at times, but I enjoyed the second half against Nottingham Forest. We got the wins, we're 9th in the league. However, we could very easily have been 16th. But I don't want to use that as a reason against David Moyes, because we're not 16th, we're 9th. It's a bit like, if you were to look back, it's a bit like Bayern Munich, look back at the final in 1999 and go, if the game finished on the 90th minute, we'd have won the Champions. Well, it didn't, so tough. So my point is, I don't like to use hypotheticals for or against managers in regards to what could have been. I like to go by what has happened. We are 9th, top of the Europa League, in the quarter-final of the Carabao Cup. I'm happy with that. Am I happy with everything this season? No. I think the lack of Mubama is incredibly frustrating. The contract situation, there's a good chance that he won't be here next season, that the new manager should have this young striker to utilise in the Premier League if he wishes, and he's not here. He might be somewhere else, and that's a big frustration for me, because Moyes, in the last year of his contract, will only plan for the short term. Why shouldn't he? Why should he not only care about this season? Why should he look at next season? I know you'd say, well, that's his job, professional integrity. Well, Moyes is going to do what's best for David Moyes. Moyes is not a West Ham fan. Moyes is a West Ham employee, and he's going to do what's best for him as a manager. That's possibly not play. I mean, it might actually be playing Mubama. Had he played Mubama, we might actually have a better striker than what we've currently got. But I get why Moyes won't play him to some extent. I don't get why he plays Ings, but I get why he won't play Mubama. Two different arguments to some extent. The football hasn't always been great. It's been frustrating. It's been poor at times, but still, it's never got as bad as last season. I will say that. I think there's a lot of positives this season. I think, the former Jared Boyd, the former Lucas Paqueta, the former Emerson, there's a lot of good players in that team. We're in all competitions, and I'm happy enough at this point. Not completely happy, but I'm happy enough. But I've not wanted Moyes sacked. And after the Brentford game, there's a lot of polls going round, and I have a problem with these polls. First of all, it doesn't reflect the West Ham fan base. It reflects where that poll is. So if Sean Whetstone does a tweet to ask his followers, Moyes in or Moyes out, that just reflects what Sean's followers think. Gonzo did a poll on the forum channel. All that does is reflect the forum channel subscribers' opinion. It doesn't reflect the guy that goes to the stadium. I know people that go to West Ham games that don't do the internet. They're my friend, and they don't even watch the bloody channel. They don't even subscribe to the channel. They don't do YouTube. They go away games as well as home games, but they don't tune into anything online. They don't like it. They stay away from it. So they're not represented in these polls. The only people that are represented are those who answer and see the post. So I take it with a pinch of salt, but it does give you a bit of an indication. It can also be echo chambery. If people that watch your content, enjoy your content, probably because they have usually a similar opinion to yourself. The second issue I have, and this is the biggest one, Moyes in or Moyes out. Well, I'm in the middle. I'm not really. What's Moyes out mean? Well, it means you want to sack. I'm not that. What's Moyes in? And this depends on what your... I guess this depends on what you think Moyes in means. To me, that would mean a new contract. That's how I see it. What does Moyes in mean? Probably that you want him here long term, that you want him to get a new deal. Well, I don't want that either. And this is where people will make incorrect assumptions. Well done, you made it this far. There's probably people who switched off. Can't believe you want Moyes to get a new deal. Well, I'm going to be replying to them later. Can't believe your mum cheated on your dad. That might be a bit harsh. Maybe I'll do stuff like that. I don't know. I'm going to start making incorrect assumptions. But this is where I am. I'm in the middle. I don't want Moyes sacked, but I don't want him to get a new contract. And the reason for that is because, and my opinion is based on one major assumption. Speaking of disliking assumptions, but I have to make an assumption for this. Assumptions. There's an opinion based on the evidence I've got, the reports we hear, and my experience of being a West Ham fan. And that is, what's the club up to? What's the club's plan? Now, I have a huge assumption right now, and that is the person, if they're going to replace Moyes at the end of the season, the person that they want to replace him isn't available yet. That's my biggest assumption. Either they don't know who they want, they don't know if they're going to have Moyes or not, or they know who they want, but they can't get him till the end of the season. Maybe he's at a club, for example. Then I'd rather wait. If they don't know who they want, take your time. Don't rush it. You cannot rush this, because we're in a really good position, and we will be in a really good position come the end of the season. And this is part of the reason why I'm not in a hurry to get rid of David Moyes. What is the worst case scenario for West Ham right now? if you were to say in May, this season's been a disaster, what's happened? In my opinion, and this is where I could be wrong, we'd be 15th maybe in the league. I don't think we're going to get relegated. Put it this way, Everton are facing a points deduction. They could get a 12-point deduction today and still stay up, in my opinion. When does that ever happen? The bottom four, and I include Bournemouth. I know they just beat Newcastle and they're on 9 points now, but I include Bournemouth. That bottom four are poor. We are not getting... We could have a disaster between now and the end of the season and we'd be 15th at worst, in my opinion. We go out the Carabao Cup, we go out the third round of the FA Cup, and we go out the next round of the Conference League, the Europa League, whichever one we qualify. It looks like we're going to be in the Europa League. We go out straight away. We finish second, go in the playoffs, we get a Champions League team, and we get dunted out, right? So go out the next round of each cup, finish 15. That's worst case scenario for me. But the club will still be in a pretty strong position for the next manager. Premier League football and decent players at this club. And I say decent because I'm keeping it broad. I'm not going to go into specifics. You know what I mean. 1 or 2 players need replaced. 1 or 2 players are getting on a bit. But generally speaking, we've got a lot of talent at this. Some of them might leave next summer, of course. But this is where we look at Tim Steidten and say, well, work your magic. Sort it. Replace that player. So I just think the club just need to just take their time, get the next appointment bang on, because it needs to be bang on, and it's big shoes to fill. David Moyes this club is in a far better position now than it was when David Moyes came in after Pellegrini, in terms of stability, in terms of finances, in terms of fans attended the game, in terms of the squad for the next manager. Moyes inherited a bit of a mess. The next manager isn't really inheriting a messy squad. Sure, there's some players that have been left out that Moyes should have utilised more, but they'll still be there for the new manager. Maxwell Cornet, for example, a bit of a disaster so far, and I say that because I don't think he's had a chance. But the next manager might come in and put him straight in the team, and we might see the Cornet we thought we were buying. A good manager can work with what you've got. The 2 best examples in recent times, in my opinion, are Eddie Howe, who we've already mentioned. He went into Newcastle. Look at that Newcastle team. Almiron, he was a meme before Eddie Howe turned up. Jack Grealish was mocking Mahrez about being Almiron. We have Sean Longstaff, who, when he first came onto the scene, there was a lot of hype about him. That died off quick, didn't it? But, well, look at him now, scoring in the Champions League. Good managers make what you've got better through coaching. Look at Shar, one of the better stronger centre-backs in the Premier League. I mean, Joelinton was being played out of position, granted. 30 million, again, another meme, a disaster of a signing. Now look at him. Howe's turned him round. Eddie Howe's done a fantastic job with players that perhaps weren't really hitting it at Newcastle. Emery at Villa's the other example. Look at the players that look like they were on their way out of Aston Villa. Ollie Watkins, Matty Cash, Konsa in the England squad now. Louise at one point wasn't particularly playing great under Steven Gerrard. It looked like he could be on his way out. But he linked to Arsenal at the minute, and Villa fans are saying 100 million, please. And the worst thing is, I can't even disagree too much. I think it's a bit much. But the point is, Emery has gone in there, took players who look like they were on their way out of Aston Villa, look like their Villa careers were over, and he's turned them round through good coaching, through good management. The next manager has got a good set of players to work with, which has been built by David Moyes and added to by Tim Steidten over the summer. And lastly, I've got my bullet points. I've not looked at them at all in this video, but I will in a minute. But lastly, I think my whole lifetime I've sat here, I've not been doing this since I was 3 years old, but generally speaking, my whole lifetime, and then when I've been doing YouTube on videos, I've been moaning. I want a cup. I want a trophy. I want a manager. In fact, it wasn't even just that. It was worse than that. It got to the point under 1 or 2 managers, such as Allardyce, where it was like, I just want a manager that takes the cups seriously. And as a Slaven Bilic fan, the one statistic I always throw out there with Slav is he's the only manager not to have lost a cup game to a lower league manager. We only got knocked out of the cups by Premier League teams under Slaven Bilic. Even Moyes got knocked out just last season by a champ. Bit of a pointless stat for you, but I'm throwing that in there. I don't know why I'm defending Slaven Bilic and David Moyes in this video, but here we go. I used to just moan, I just want a manager to take the cup seriously, try and win a cup, please. When we do these videos, you get hypothetical questions. Would you take 17th and a trophy? Absolutely. Now, granted, those trophies usually are the FA Cup, which is more prestigious than the Conference League. I'm a big fan of the Conference League. Yeah, I'm wearing a t-shirt about the Conference League. But the FA Cup pisses all over it, let's be honest with you. But we've got one. Moyes will try and win the Carabao Cup this year. He will try and win the Europa League. FA Cup, I don't know. If we're still in the Europa League and we're in the top half of the Premier League, I'd forgive him and almost hoped. If we got through the Carabao Cup, we'd have two semi-finals to look forward to. I'd almost want him to discard the FA Cup to some extent and focus on trying to win the Europa League and trying to win the Carabao Cup and trying to qualify for European football for another season. So yeah, there's my reasons. My bullet points. Paul's backstory, yes. Who's next? Kind of touched on that. Worst case, yeah. David Sullivan, not done that. Wants a trophy, yeah. Playing style, yeah. We covered everything bar David Sullivan. And the last reason, and this feeds into tomorrow's video. I think there's some people, and I'm going to use Gonzo. I think there's some people like Gonzo a little bit hopeful that Tim Steidten has this magic wand, that the next manager is going to be a success regardless, right? And I just don't think there's any evidence for that. And it's based on my opinion on Tim Steidten at Bayer Leverkusen. It's got nothing to do with him at West Ham. I think he's doing a great job. But tomorrow's video is about Steidten, because I strongly believe Steidten wasn't the one that appointed Xabi Alonso. Now we'll present my evidence for this, but just for context, I watch German football a lot. My knowledge isn't great. I've had German journalists come along and started, whoa, I'm not entering this fight, sunshine, because you're going to know far more than me. I'm a part-time Bundesliga fan. I watch it as and when I can, which isn't that often because of the Premier League football. But I strongly believe Tim Steidten wasn't responsible for the hiring of Xabi Alonso. And because we've done well the last few years, and we have done well, it doesn't mean I trust David Sullivan. Because while I've just defended David Moyes, Sullivan didn't rehire David Moyes thinking, there's the man that's going to get us into European football, that's the man that's going to win us a trophy, because A, he would have kept him the first time round, and B, he wouldn't have given him a short-term contract, it would have been a longer-term one. Sullivan took Moyes in on the hope he'd keep us up again, and that happened. Sullivan got lucky with David Moyes in regards to how successful on paper we've been in the last few seasons. 6, 7, 3-season European football, a trophy. Sullivan's got very lucky. Sullivan could sit in front of me and tell me different, I still wouldn't believe him, because I have little trust for the man. But if he used to tell me, oh no, I thought Moyes would be the man that could turn our fortunes round and go on and achieve these things. Bollocks, no you didn't. You brought him in because you couldn't find anyone else. You were desperate, and Moyes was desperate for a job. So two desperate men came together. Unfortunately, this has happened. So I just don't trust David Sullivan to get the next appointment right. Is it going to be Tim Steiden's responsibility? I hope so. I damn well hope so. And it should be, with Mark Noble's influence. I would like to see Mark Noble involved as well, personally. But this is a different conversation. But I don't have the confidence that Sullivan's letting Steidten do it. And I don't have the confidence that Steidten will get a manager like that and it will work hitting the ground running. And I'll tell you why tomorrow. But for today, I don't want David Moyes sacked. Am I happy with everything this season? No. Is there a lot of problems? Yes. Do I want Moyes to get a new contract? No. But for now, I just hope the board just take their time and get the next manager, get the right replacement in. And assuming he's not available now, I'm okay with Moyes for the remainder of the season. And actually, I'm quite hopeful that we can still have a pretty good season. The football might not be the best. It might not be that enjoyable. But I'm hoping that Moyes, results-wise, it can work. And I'll stomach it. 8th and win a cup. That's my two hopes this season. We're still on for both. So for that reason, I don't want David Moyes sacked. And trust me, no one's more surprised than I am. If you've enjoyed this, probably not. I've got a feeling this is like a hand grenade video, really. But it's my honest opinion. I don't want Moyes sacked. But if you've somehow enjoyed this video, please do drop a like on it. Subscribe if you're new to Hammers Chat. And I'll catch up with you tomorrow when we talk about Tim Steidten.